So to work with circles and cylinders, the one thing you need to know, one of the things you need to know, is that your circle tool always has you pick the center of your circle. So because location is important, I want to show you a few different ways to locate the center of your circle throughout this tutorial. So one of the ways is you might know exactly the distance that a circle is from a corner. Okay? If you know this, I like to use the rectangle tool and draw a box. So if I know that it's going to be 45 millimeters in one direction and 20 millimeters in the other direction, I will make a 45 by 20 box. I will then take my circle, place it on that endpoint, click once, move in any direction, and then tell it. Now, sometimes if you have to, you can line this up, like if it's going to come halfway up and give me a 10 millimeter radius. That's exactly fine. But remember, as you can see in the bottom corner, it is asking for radius. So if you know the diameter or the distance all the way across, you have to divide that in half. So if I wanted to make a 18 millimeter diameter circle, I would type in a 9 millimeter radius. Now what you will notice is I have several different areas now. I have the area enclosed by this, excluding this little pie wedge. I have the pie wedge itself and the rest of it that's kind of shaped by like Pac-Man. Now, to get rid of it, I do have to click on the line segments and actually push delete. You'll notice that the circle does divide those up into segments. So I will need to delete all of them before I can do something with this circle. Now I can do stuff with this circle just like I would any other shape. If I get push-pull, I can click on it and I can pull it up and type in 10 millimeters and get a 10 millimeter cylinder. I'm going to right now hit undo to show you the other thing I can do is I can push down 10 millimeters and get a 10 millimeter hole. That's the same. The other thing sometimes you know is right now mine is 100 millimeters in each direction. If my next item was 50 millimeters this way, the center of it was, that is at the midpoint of this edge. So I might go till I can find the midpoint. And then this way I only have to draw one measurement. And then if I know that it's 25 millimeters in, I can draw that line. Go here, tell it to be 10 millimeters. Again, I will have to use my pointer tool, click on the line, push delete. Do not use the eraser tool. The pointer tool and the delete key, not backspace, the delete key is much better. I can then use push pull this up the 15 millimeters that it is. So there's a hole and a cylinder. That tells you most of what you need to do for one of the block activities you might be working on. So let's work on something else. Let's combine some circles and other shapes to make a profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide that the corner of this is 10 millimeters in each direction. From there, I am going to start a box, and it's going to be 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. I no longer need this line nor that line, so I can have my 20 millimeter box. I'm going to now, that's actually looking kind of funny, so I'm going to undo everything. I'm going to make sure that when I start this, I am directly on the endpoint. 20, 20. I'm going to just check it with push-pull real quick. Yeah, something's going funky on that. So I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on here. So I am going to delete this shape. Something is not right. So I'm going to try drawing actually with my pencil tool, because you might have this happen from time to time. 20, green, 20. Red again, 20. Back home. Okay, this is still showing me that something is wrong. All right, let me try starting from the other edge. So I'm going to come up this edge 10 millimeters. That edge, I'm going to go in the red axis 10 millimeters. Now I'm going to try drawing a box 20 by 20 on the same surface. Okay, I'm not sure why this one wasn't working right, but all I can tell you is it wasn't working right, so I'm not going to mess with it. So if this was me, I will, like I am, actually delete everything and start over. But anyways, I'm going to now use this one here. So now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to use a circle, and I'm going to go to the midpoint here and make a circle that big. You may recognize this shape from one of your blocks. One of the things that I'm going to have to do then is I'm going to have to get rid of the stuff that crosses this up so that when I click inside of it, I get just one shape. Okay? This would also be true if I wanted to use a partial circle for something. So I'm going to make the midpoint here. Actually only going to go out 5 millimeters as a radius, and then click this piece. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and like cut a little chunk out of it. I know this isn't how anything is in your packet, but just in case you'd want to do something like this, that's how you can also use it to remove a section. But then, just like normal, I can pull this up or in as a whole. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it up 10 millimeters, just to show you that we can combine simple shapes as long as we delete the parts we don't need into a shape. And I could have also done that by perhaps maybe finding a point here and drawing across to where I would then maybe have to draw from a midpoint or something like that. Okay, but just so you're aware. Also, a little fun fact, sometimes we know where the center of a rectangle is. So if I was to go from, let's just go from the midpoint here in 10 millimeters. Actually, I don't want to go in 10 millimeters. I'm going to do that as a larger value. So we're going to go in 25 millimeters. If I get my rectangle tool, you'll see normally I have a corner to corner. If I push the control key, it switches to where I can now put the center there and make a rectangle like this. So also be aware of that, as in I could also have made my center rectangle there, pull out, and then decide that it's a 20 by 20 square and type those measurements in. So all of those are different ways to locate these shapes. But that should help you in your future blocks.